What's up, everyone? We are back with some more modern action and going back through and seeing some powerful meta decks versus maybe some little bit of off meta decks. You know, Boros Energy, definitely one of the most popular decks, of course, in Modern. Living End rises and falls depending on how much graveyard hate and stuff is going on. We'll talk a little bit about what both these decks look like and the ins and outs of this matchup. But, of course, I am NanMan, bringing you guys all of our Modern coverage here at NanMan's Nerd Corner. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Let's get it going. This Living End list, as well as Boros Energy list, can be found on our Mox Field. The goals of the decks are different. One is a aggro-based plan, dropping a lot of 1-2 drops, with the top end really being a 3-drop with Flage, and you're going to get out the gate quick and kind of aggro your opponent down. You get to utilize things that are high synergistic, like Guide of Souls, Oscillate Prides, things like that, to gain a bunch of life and push for a lot of extra damage by utilizing that energy there. So we're going to see how quickly that burn aggro plan will be able to work. Here's the other side of things. This is a 4-color Living End list, a little bit different than some of the rising up, more powerful Sultai versions, especially with like Wistfulness and Deceits and stuff like that. I have not picked up my copies of Wistfulness or Deceits. I do feel like those versions are really interesting because of the power level that they've got with the disruptions that they have available to them, where this is much more of, I'm just going all in, we're cycling as many things as possible and just kind of going to town. But we see Oscillate Pride hitting the battlefield here already. Of course, first strike, life link, and when you gain life, you will be able to make a little cat token, and then of course it has that whole city's blessing. I love the Pikachu token we've got here, the Pokemon card, to represent our energy counter there. Ragavan going to come out as well, so our bringing the beats, chipping away. And you kind of are in this like, all right, I know how things are getting, I'll at least get another energy here. All right, boom, 16. How quickly can I go all aggro here before things get really bad? We see the flickering, galvanic discharge, we see a flage. So there's some tools here. Voice of victory, but is it enough to deal with? I mean, like the galvanic discharge, we have 3 energy. We essentially have 6 energy, so we could burn one thing here. If that was going to be like a turn 3 Living End element, I don't know if that'll be the case here, but we do have a Street Wraith in the graveyard. We do have an Aven, what is that, Mind? No, I keep wanting to say Mind, the bird, the 3-drop Aven Mind Sensor. No, it's the Aven something, I don't know. Okay, Surveil Land, putting another creature into the graveyard there, very nice. And that's a 5/5 hexproof creature too, so that'll be a big house that'll just kind of land on the battlefield and be not able to kind of be dealt with easily with the Boros Energy list here. So kind of do the calculation of what are we going for here. Yeah, the only difference really between the Sultai version that we're running and the 4-color list is also just the amount of cascade effects that are available. And cascading can be tough in Modern because if you're playing against blue decks that have like consigned to memories and stuff like that. But Shardless Agent, and we're going to do some reveals, getting the confirmation here as all these creatures go to the graveyard. And you get to see kind of the big creatures that are in the list here. And Ardent Pleas, okay, Curator of Mysteries, some more Ents, more Street Race. It's like, I swear it's in here. Keep going, keep going. Big old pile. Just kidding. We didn't put them in. No, there it is. Okay, Living End. So all players exile creature cards from their graveyard. Then they sacrifice all of the creatures that they control and puts all those cards that were in exile onto the battlefield. Basically, you swap the creatures in the graveyard, and the battlefield is really how it is set up. I was like, I couldn't remember, because it's like, does Cascade go on the bottom end in any order, or do I just, does it? Okay, so we did get the confirmation. Yes, you do have to shuffle the cards. This was definitely one of the first days that I had played the deck. As you could say, it's me being like, oh, it's been so long since I've played a Cascade deck that I completely forgot how Cascade worked. So, yeah, the check for the Boros Energy goes, yeah, I mean, I could do some
We're
stuff,
interrupting
but not
our
enough.
gameplay to let you know about our new affiliate with NerdGear. Nerdgear.gg/NanMan will take you directly to the website, and as you can see, they've got a bunch of awesome gaming accessories from playmats, life counters with the life tracks, playmat holders, and more. So make sure you do some browsing on the site, find some goodies, and then use the code NGNanman for 5% off your entire order. But let's get back to our gameplay.
All right, let's get back into it here. Yeah, very cool to see. Like, I understand that. Just all right, let's go to game 2. I've got access to sideboard cards that I know will help me out in this matchup. It is a tough matchup to be on the receiving end of if you are the Boros player because of stuff like that, where you're like, my goal is to dump my hand and sort of go all in this regard of it. Still, there was tools available, but it was like, oh, I don't have enough tools that I can throw in the way to be able to absorb all the hits that are coming at me. Bunch of flyers, all right, things like that. So, you buy one turn just to die the next turn? I don't think that's necessarily worth it. Where we can just go, okay, sideboard, let's find some tools, go from there. But another opening of Guide of Souls to start things out. We'll see what sort of living end opening we got. Drop into 18, most likely going to be setting up for a cycle effect. See how it goes. But yeah, I like living end's fun. I enjoy picking it up from time to time. It's not a deck that I feel like I could grind with because the lines in the gameplay is too linear for me. Right? It's like cycle, cast this Ardent Plea, cast this Shardless Agent, get into the Cascade effect, go. I mean, game 2 and game 3 definitely changes a little bit, especially when you have to like navigate, okay, what hate is my opponent bringing in? How am I going to get through to actually get to Cascade? And the games get to be a little bit more kind of interesting, but the game 1 is always the same. So I think it's like, I don't know. It's the same thing with like Amulet. I think that's why I never really enjoyed the idea of playing Amulet. Is just like these sort of linear based decks of I'm doing my thing. Even Storm, right? It's sort of, I don't know. There is a place for these decks. I'm glad that they exist. I just prefer a little bit more variety, I think, in my matches and making things different based off of what's happening. So, all right, Ragavan entering, not going to dash it. We will just sort of do some beats coming down. Let's cycle another Curator of Mysteries here. Just kind of collecting the Curators. And we'll cycle the Striped River Winder. That's the hexproof one we keep talking about, the 5-drop. Street Wraith, though, we're going to lose some more life, so we're just kind of, we're going big. We're really going for it. I don't know if there is a Cascade effect, so maybe that's the goal here, is we're looking for that. Or digging for lands. Who knows? But basically gotten 4 extra draws this turn. Ooh, look at this. 2 sideboard cards in hand right now for a Boros Energy player. They've got the Surgical Extractant as well as the Orange Chant. Orange Chant is amazing. Your opponent tries to cast a Cascade effect. They go, here's my Shardless Agent. In response, Orange Chant. Okay, cool. Cascade resolves. You don't get to cast it because you can't cast any more spells this turn. So, like, that's a really nice, like, shutdown card that you can be able to use against your opponent there. But sort of this land go mode for Living End, that it definitely opens the window for our Boros Energy. And right now they're in this spot of, like, okay, how much do I want to commit? I've seen how bad it is. They have a Flage, and they could just jam that out early. Let's see. I feel like just going for they have 2. Was that? It looks like 2 Flage. So let's move to combat here. Swinging 3 across. Oh, okay. Sideboard cards. Harvester of Misery there. This one's really cool. Single target, -2/-2. And then when you are able to have it, of course, enter, it does that for all creatures on the battlefield get -2/-2. Otherwise, you discard it and have a single target creature do it. So, very cool. Like that. 5/4 with Menace. So, all right, fetching up our basic mountain. What do y'all think about the mountain and island choice in this match? All right, we talk about basics all the time on the channel. What do you think about those basic lands? Fan of the almost constellation style. Fan of the unset. Oh, subtlety response. We see that go just right to the bottom. It looked like there. So subtlety, pitching subtlety. I think that was also the nice addition to the Living End, is getting access to things like endurance, subtleties, stuff like that to kind of help you out. Yeah. All right. Flage number 2. No. All right.
19.
Right, 19. Did we miss a fetch?
No. I think 19, and then I gain one more, right?
Because you fetch this one, you go from 19 to 18.
Well, this is 3.
Well, I'm counting. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
counting
okay.
I'm counting the ones to
You're
19,
starting
and then,
here,
yeah,
and
sorry,
then,
sorry.
and then
sorry.
20.
There's a bit of a confusion back and forth there. You hear this like, oh wait, I was doing this and trying to like get the life total confirmation here. Wait, oh wait, no, yeah. This enters, gain a life. This gives us 3 lives, so plus 4, and then it was just sort of like, all right, cool. So maybe I miscalculated. You know, we all. That's partly why you have these conversations with your opponents, right? You go through it and do the life checks. I do that all the time. Of like, you know, oh, okay, cool. You're fetching your shotgun, and I'll confirm, dropping to 14, and do these like verbal confirmations with my opponents when I'm playing. Definitely helpful and useful when you're playing, whether you're playing like LGS style or playing in bigger tournaments and stuff like that. So, but yeah, my Boros Energy player was talking about how they really liked seeing the Harvester of Misery. Well, like seeing it as a card to add to it, but hated being on the receiving end of it. But just saying how cool that addition is for sideboard options. But Surveil Land, nothing of use right now. So we're in the grind here. Oh, just kidding. Shardless Agent. Let's do some more Cascading. But we have a response. Hey, Orange Chant. Target player can't cast spells this turn. No need to kick it. Just going to utilize it and say... All right, Cascade still resolves, so we get to do a flippity of all of these and reveal what we've got here. And with the way Cascade works, we do not have to cast the spell. All right, so they can just all get shuffled up, put back on the bottom. All right, land pass. Oh, there's the surgical. Right. I think that's smart. Okay, so you saw that like debate between like the curators and the Harvester of Misery, but the Harvester of Misery I think is smart to get rid of because of the basically board wipe effect, and most of the creatures that are in the Boros Energy have 2 or less life. So, Flage being that big exception to that, or creatures later on that might have energy counters kind of fused into them to make them stronger off of, like, Guide of Souls. But for the most part, the deck is full of a lot of, like, 2/1 creatures and stuff like that. So, what are we going to do here? Okay, speaking of 2/1, we've got a 1/2 Ajani Nakano Pariah that will make a 2/1 White Cat Warrior creature token. Of course, if a cat will die, Ajani will flip into the Planeswalker version there. So definitely something that's going to cause a bit of a problem if it's able to get shot out unkilled. So, so there you go. Yeah, he said, okay, I'm worried about, you know, so there was that back and forth saying I was debating about getting rid of the Curator, but I was worried about you just finding another Shardless or having another Shardless and then just wiping my board. So now Curator, 4/4 flying, also has that static ability that will make it so whenever you cycle or discard another card, you get a scry one. So that turns all of our scry effects here, or all of our cycling into basically ops, right? Scry one, draw a card. Goblin Bombardment is great. That will allow us to be able to flip our Ajani here. We could shoot that token at our opponent, and then it'll cause our Ajani to flip. Yeah, we do. It looks like close. We're getting close to being able to have what we need in order to actually do some flipping. Also being able to utilize Flage is another important one. Oh, I guess I have to. I was just looking at the Mox field and realized I haven't updated a Boros Energy list in a while. I have a couple on there like Mardu Energy and Boros Energy and things like that, but a lot of them are the Modern Horizons 3 Pro Tour stuff. The back when like Amp Raptor was still legal, but I'll have to do some updating for some lists here. But we see the Force of Vigor gonna come and shoot and get rid of the Goblin Bombardment. Makes it very difficult. Oh, then there's the confirmation that's not actually exiled. But yeah, decided not to shoot off and flip because it's like, oh, you would just kill it with the Curator of Mysteries here. I wouldn't be able to actually do anything with it. All right, 4 damage coming across. Oh, Guide of Souls is nice. And we have enough to escape the Flage. 2 cards in hand for Living End player. Unlikely that they've got a Subtlety. And still a lot of resources left. ETB. Guide a Soul. Gain some 4 life. Shoot this for 3. Clear the blockers. Push for 3. And, oh, it could be more because we've got the energy. Let's see, 3. You see the debate here. I mean, what else are we using the energy for? I mean, I guess you could save it if you had like a Galv Blast or something, but it's like basically putting a 2-turn clock on our opponent. Yeah, so we'll pump it in there. Total of 5 damage going across, dropping Living End to 4 life here. So that's basically essentially like, all right, I'm setting myself up. Cycling, Scry. Ooh, Living End. We want that. The Scry, that was huge. All right, what do we draw into? Something relevant, maybe? I see some lands getting flicked. Might be dead. Yeah, it says Living End or Bust. Combat, swing 4. Shardless. Yep. Living End or Bust. We got the Living End there. No Bust. Able to make it work there. I mean, it does feel like it's a tough matchup. I don't know if it is as tough a matchup in the Sultai world of utilizing the like current versions of it, but maybe not. I don't know. I again, Living End's a fun one to pick up every so often, especially like this one that's relatively budget friendly. I say budget friendly because my list is like $580. As you might imagine, the most expensive things are the lands. It runs like a playset of Polluted. I have 1 Verdant, 2 Windswept in there. An Underground Mortuary is a little expensive. Hedge Mage's a little expensive. I guess Otawara is a little expensive. But for the most part, like the tools and stuff in the deck are super cheap. Like Curator of Mysteries is like 50 cents. All right, things like Shardless Agent is what, maybe $1, if that. I don't know. So relatively cheap. Endurance is maybe like, $6-7. Subtleties maybe like $15. So a cheap deck to put together, something that may be worth trying out and playing. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. A little bit of a fast-paced one for our Thursday, but as a reminder, we've got gameplay coming out on Saturday. Mondays is our Modern 2015. Thursdays is our current 2026 Modern, and all kinds of good stuff all throughout the week for you to be able to enjoy. But that's going to do it for us here today. Thanks so much for tuning and watching, y'all, and I'll see you all next game.